Let's look at surds. Surds are irrational numbers according to the definition that were given here. On our example 20C, the question reads, simplify the following by making the number under the square root sign as small as possible. I've taken number 2 for our example, which is square root of 32. If we are to make the number under the square root sign as small as possible, we should divide the number by a perfect square. Let's look at perfect squares. These are examples of perfect squares. How do we get perfect squares? When two identical numbers multiply, we get perfect squares. I'll give you an example. 1 times 1 will give us an answer 1. That answer is a perfect square, which is a 1. 2 times 2, the answer is 4. So 4 is a perfect square. 3 times 3, we get 9. 9 is a perfect square. 4 times 4, we get 16. 16 is a perfect square. 5 times 5, we get 25. 25 is a perfect square. In other words, a perfect square is a result of two identical numbers multiplying. Take note of that. Going back to our question, number 2. The question is saying we should make the number, which is 32, square root of 32, that number 32 should be as small as possible. The basic issue here is we should divide that number under the square root sign with the largest possible perfect square. What do we mean? 1 is a perfect square, it can also go into 32. 4 is a perfect square, which can go into 32 without leaving a remainder. And 16 is also a perfect square, which can go into 32 without leaving a remainder. But the question says we should divide by the largest possible perfect square. Like I say 1 and 4 and 16 are all perfect squares. They can go into 32 without leaving a remainder. But we should divide with the largest so that the number under the square root sign should be as small as possible. So I will take 16. So 16 into 32, we get 2. In other words, my number, I'll work it here, 32, I'll just break it. 32 is the same as 16 multiplied by 2. I took that 16. It was 16 into 32, we get 2. So in other words, we're simply breaking 32 into 16 by 2. We still get the same answer. Take note, 16 times 2, we get 32. And then this is how we simplify. This is the same as square root of 16 multiplied by square root of 2. What is the square root of 16? It's 4. Multiplied by, we don't know offhand, the square root of 2, we simply leave it as square root of 2, and our answer becomes 4 square root 2. This is the answer. So basic rule, we divide the number under the square root sign with the largest possible perfect square. In other words, we break it into two numbers, the other one being the largest possible perfect square and the remaining number. This is the answer that we get. So can you try on your own number 1, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6 on your own. Thank you very much. Have a good day.